Welcome to the Alchemist Inkwell.
This is your spiritual podcast for grounded people. And boy, are we going to need both of our recordings this week because tech's being weird.
Tech is being super weird. Also, the reason we're giggling is like the countdown, so it counts us down to get us into the podcast room. And it was like delayed. So we're like, here we go. And then we're like, but we're here.
So anyway,
we made it through the countdown.
I'm KristaLyn.
Oh, I'm Emily. Hello.
Yeah. We're trying to get better at this, you guys. We want new people to feel really welcome and to feel grounded as well. Because this is your spiritual podcast for grounded people, after all.
Exactly. Also, on that note, I'm going to say this right from the beginning. If you love our podcast, please download this episode.
Please and thank you.
Or comment on it, or share it, or any of those things. All of those things help us so much. We'll try to remember to remind you at the end as well. But in case we don't, we're reminding you now.
Yeah. Just let us know you're here. It helps us know that we're not talking into the ether. And it also helps us tune into your energy so that we can kind of like tailor things a little bit more towards the people who are listening, which is fun.
It's a vibe. Makes it better.
Yeah. Speaking of a vibe, we are moving into the solstice this week. So happy summer to those in the northern hemisphere, and welcome to winter, those in the southern hemisphere.
We're going to talk, this is our solstice-ode. This is what we're... This is our summer solstice-ode. We are going to talk about the summer solstice predominantly because we are in the northern hemisphere for this. Just note in the winter, it's still, you can apply a lot of the same concepts if you are in the southern hemisphere. I just want to put that disclaimer out front because from here on out, we're going to talk about it as summer and I don't want to like have to disclaimer it every time. But you can apply a lot of the same concepts even if you're doing it for the winter solstice. We're just talking about like this solstice in general, but we're going to speak about it in the context of summer because that's where we are at.
Yeah. And also astrologically, that's kind of where the astrology is working too. The sun is coming into Cancer regardless of where in the world you are.
Right.
So it is the Cancer solstice, and we can talk about it that way as well.
Yeah. And it's so weird. So I considered summer, the start of summer, the beginning of June. Like the second it's June 1st, I'm like, summer is here. This is summer. And my birthday is technically in spring, which I'm like, no, it's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. June to me is such a summer month in general. I'm like, yeah, I know most of it's technically in spring, but it's summer. That's how it feels anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Like technically, Dan's birthday is this week and he would be a spring child, which doesn't make sense. The sun is really strong. The daylight hours are long. It's summer. And in fact, traditionally, the summer solstice is called midsummer.
Yeah.
In many cultures before they came up with the arbitrary calendar. And it is because it is the sun at its peak of length of day. So truly, I go with that.
Yeah. So it is summer. It is summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, Ola.
I know. I couldn't help it. It's good.
Oh, he goes next episode.
He is next. Should I save my song for that? Trees will bud. Anyway, yeah, I actually recently wrote an article. I don't know if it's actually going to be used for the publication I wrote it for because that print media is weird. But if not, I am sharing it to my patrons regardless of whether it gets published or not. But it's basically reviving a bunch of the more ancient traditions around summer solstice. So not just midsummer, but we're talking like, what did the ancient Egyptians do? Because it was the start of their flood. Like this was their new year.
Kinda.
Basically.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They nudged it a little bit, but yeah.
What did the ancient Romans do? And it was a huge holiday for Vesta, which was, my gosh, I'm like crying. I don't know why, but my eyes will not stop watering today. So it's a huge holiday about women and those types of things and like different festivals that were held around ancient Greece, whatever. So I wrote an article about that recently because one, I got kind of prompted to do it, but I was like, ooh, this is really fun. So I will put that in my Patreon, but I'm going to pepper some of those facts in as we go along through here too, because it's really cool. And I just want to, on that note of like reviving ancient magic, this is one of those moments where we really get to. And it's special.
And we should do it more.
Yeah.
We need to do it more.
Oh my God. We need to do it so much more.
I'm not just saying that because this is literally my hyperfixation for my entire life. But
I mean, a little bit.
I could have more friends. That'd be great.
A little bit, but also it's also a time where we are genuinely reviving a lot of this stuff, and that is really freaking cool. And that is something that's like really powerful for us in this moment, is the ability to understand and know these things, which a lot of other cultures didn't get to have that, we can have access to any information we want, basically, in the whole world. And that is so special, and part of the reason I think a lot of us came during this time, because then it allows us to revive these ancient things that other people wouldn't have had access to in the same way in the past. And so that's something that's incredibly special. And I think the summer solstice is one of those moments that is like so unifying, because it's everybody on the planet's going through it together. And when there's very few things that happen that way, we're all going through that together, one. And two, every person throughout history has gone through that every year as well. And that's just like so, it's just beautiful and special in that way. So we'll talk more specifically about the solstice in a second, but it's one of my favorite days of the entire year, the summer solstice, because of the weight that it always has, the magic that it always brings. I highly recommend doing something, even if it's just like sitting outside for a little bit longer as the sun sets or something. Just one little thing is going to just tie you to all of the people that came before you. And there's something just so innately beautiful about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite solstice or equinoctial rituals is just witnessing the sun rise and set on those days, because that is the pinnacle of that experience. And so for me, like normally I'd be like, I'm typically awake at sunrise anyway at any given time of year. And then I would make sure I stay awake until the sun goes down. This year, that's going to be almost more challenging because the sun's not going to do that where we will be. But I will wake up on the 20th, I think, in the UK. I'll be in an airport. I get to live in an airport for 24 hours, which is going to be fun. Not like, on chairs and stuff. There will be a little place for me to sleep, and it's great. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. But I'll wake up, hopefully, likely before the sun. I'm going to try to find a window where I can watch the sunrise. And then that night, it's just not going to go down because we'll be in Iceland.
I know, we looked it up. We looked it up for Iceland. So we both leave. I leave for Iceland. Technically Wednesday night I drive to San Francisco, and then I leave early Thursday morning. Right? I don't know. Time is stupid. Yes. No, that's correct. Anyway, so by the time you're listening to this, I will be on an airplane to Iceland, which is pretty kind of fun. Well, we looked it up and we were like, okay, is there any moments of darkness? I'm going to be in Iceland for 2 weeks. Krista's only going to be there for a little over 1.
Yep.
And
taking a
there
big
is
in the UK on the way.
Yeah,
home.
there is not a single moment of full darkness the whole time we're there. Not one.
Nope.
Which is
cool.
The
research said 2 hours of twilight, but even then, I don't think it's what we consider twilight. Like the sun will get near the horizon, but it's not going to dip into it. The sun, astrologically, the sun is not going to reach the descendant. And I can't wait, because I want to look at an astrological chart at 2 a.m. and be like, you say that, it's not going to adjust for that. I know it's not. So I'm just going to be like, I want to cast a chart for 2 a.m. in Reykjavik at this time of year and just see the contrast, because that's going to blow my mind and it's going to be really fun.
Right? I know, I'm really excited. So I work with the sun deity, right? So for me, I'm like, ooh, this is so great. It's going to be so awesome. I will say Weston and I are staying in an Aurora dome one of the nights, which is so silly because it's not going to get dark. But also I want to do, that's part of what I want to experience is if we don't sleep a lot, okay, that's fine. But we'll be out underneath the sky at 3 a.m. It's just going to be so cool. I'm really excited about that. Just to see the midnight sun fully.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be excited because typically on these trips, I like to do what I call star spotting, where I show you how to take an astrology chart and find the planets in the sky, just using an astrology chart, no fancy apps or anything like that, doing it the way that they would have done it in ancient times. And if the sun gets low enough, might be able to see Jupiter's going to be under the beams of the sun. We might be able to see Mercury, maybe Mars. So we'll know exactly what we're looking at because it's only those two that we'll have the option of. But will it even get dark enough for the stars to come out? It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I know. We were sitting out. Weston has been overhauling our whole yard over the last couple of days. It's been amazing and magical and so much fun. I love it. He built a pond. He's just going for us. Yeah. It's very different. We have a fire pit. He built a pond. We have flower beds now. It's just, in the past couple of days, he's just fully changed the yard. And I am calling him out because honestly, he should be incredibly proud of himself. And I am incredibly proud of him because it's gorgeous. I'm really excited for everything to grow more because right now we have little baby trees everywhere, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we were sitting out underneath the stars last night, just, Father's Day. And we're sitting around the fire and I was like, wow, I have to say goodbye to the stars for 2 weeks. That's weird. I love the stars. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye, stars.
We're just going to be centralizing one star over the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be the sun.
Yeah. sun, and we will see the northern lights still. We're determined. So
we have
it's
decided
going to happen.
that somehow there's going to be enough of the magnetism in the air that we will be able to see them during the
Yeah,
twilight
which the sun is
period, I
popping
guess.
off. So you know what?
It is. It is. Yeah, it's been doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
I apologize. Zelda has decided it is time to have zoomies around the house.
Okay. Fair enough.
So if you can hear little feet in the background, that's Zelda.
We can, but that's okay. That's amazing. So talking about the solstice. So the solstice is on the 20th. It is our longest day of the year. Gosh, I wish my eyes would stop watering. I look weird wiping them, but whatever. It's our longest day of the year, which means the sun is out the most. A couple things always to remember with the solstice. One, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your dreams on the solstice. Either solstice, any solstice, all the time. Your dreams are so activated. It is so much. It's not necessarily easier. It's not like the veil is thinner or whatever. I mean, kind of it is, but there's not really a veil anymore anyway. So it's like whatever. But there's just something really powerful in either having a long night or having a long day that happens that allows our spiritual connection to be heightened. So some of the most impactful and deepest dreams that I've had, where I've like seen past lives and talked to an oracle and like different things like that, have always occurred on the summer solstice. And winter solstice too, but summer solstice most predominantly.
Yeah. Well, and this is why, spoiler to anybody who is traveling to Iceland with us, I was researching some of the folk magic of Iceland, which is very similar and related to Bracharai, which is my native folk magic, I guess you could call it. It was what I was raised with. And I made dream staves for everybody. And because I think that's probably part of it. You know, when I was going through and I was like, do we want to do luck and fortune and all this other stuff? And it was the dream stave stuck out. So I'm really interested to see how dreams go for everybody, but in particular, the people who are traveling with us.
Yeah. Honestly,
sorry for my background noise.
Okay, you're all good. Honestly, I know it's going to be really, really deep and powerful. And the other thing with that too is with the solstice, you can set intentions for your dreams, but don't get super locked onto them being the only thing that can come through. And people ask that all the time, like, oh, should I, set an intention for this or plan to something there? I'm like, yeah, you can. And it's not a bad idea because it kind of primes you to be open to having like a deeper dream experience. But I wouldn't lock in super heavily to making sure that you have that intention met. It would be more along the lines of like, I have an impactful dream tonight. Like that's going to be more helpful than being like, I see a spirit guide specifically. You can do that at other times, but with this specific event, I always recommend just leave it a little bit more open because you're going to get so much more out of it if you do. Like so much more out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And do we want to go over some of the astrology?
Let's do it.
The solstice?
Astrologize us.
So, for those of you listening from the United States, one disclaimer. In world astrology or mundane astrology, there is this concept of, depending on the rising sign at the Aries ingress, it tells you what the theme of the year is going to be and how changeable the year is going to be. So sometimes you want to pay attention to every seasonal change, to every equinox and every solstice in the course of that year. Sometimes though, the year is set and it has like the same theme throughout and you don't need the other charts because the theme that is established is the continuing theme. We are in a year where we really wouldn't normally acknowledge for major reasons the different charts of the different seasons. However, there is a chart for the Cancer ingress, so we can look at that and just kind of say, well, how does the summer vibe feel? So with that in mind, I like the condition of the essential dignity, so the placements of most of the planets for this. The sun, of course, is at 0 degrees Cancer coming into our northern hemisphere summer and applying to Jupiter, who's exalted in Cancer at 2 degrees. Now, normally you'd be like, woohoo, Jupiter in Cancer, exalted, yay, and the sun's there too, which creates a condition called chariot. However, the sun is coming towards Jupiter. Think about like Pac-Man. So the sun is going to, the sun is going to take Jupiter, and Jupiter is in this process of death and rebirth. So this is Jupiter falling into the sun. Like if you imagine NASA sent a probe and then they're like, well, we can't bring it back. So there it goes.
Been there, my guy.
So Jupiter falls into the sun and then will be reborn. But while Jupiter is on either side of the sun, he's burned up. Like imagine being like so sunburned that you can't move. I have been there. Newsflash, I'm very pale. And so when the sun gets me, it gets me good. When Jupiter has the Cazimi, which will happen the following Tuesday after this, we'll have a really good moment of Jupiter. I would pay attention to your dreams then as well. For reference, that is going to be exactly on the 24th of Tuesday, the 24th of June. We'll have that Cazimi, but in the Cancer ingress, which is sort of the birth chart of summer or winter, depending on where you are, Jupiter is not functioning as well as Jupiter could function. So exalted, yes, but things that Jupiter represents may have their resources, but not the means to make them come around. In our lives, Jupiter is abundance and Jupiter is joy and Jupiter is saying yes and expansion. As far as people go, Jupiter is like judges and the wealthy and, people who bestow gifts upon people.
Ew.
So those people have resources naturally, but they may not be able to do what they would do with them. And there are certain ways where I think that's a good thing for now. And then
sounds
there are certain
like,
ways where I'm like,
those without resources get to redistribute then. That's what I'm going to say it's going to mean.
well, when you in mundane astrology look at what is represented by the people, the moon is a co-indicator of the people, and the moon is exalted at 0 degrees of Taurus on this day, co-present with her ruler Venus, who is still in Taurus at this time. So I really like that for us, to be perfectly honest.
It's like the moon is a conspirator.
Yeah, it is.
Love
Ooh,
this.
yeah. So yeah, if I had to read this mundane wise, there are some things that would make me roll my eyes and be like, more of the same. But there are some things that also say, like, in our personal lives, we can be doing things. Yeah. We can be like focused on what we can focus on. We can be resourcing ourselves. We can be making sure that, we are getting what we need and just blow off all the people that are made of hot air anyway. Like, that's my recommendation for the summer, because we have so many big transits happening over the summer that are also going to walk back and then come forward. There's a lot of planets ingressing and then moving back and then ingressing again next year. Uranus being one of them later in early July. So we just want to be aware that like stuff's going to go off. People are going to say big things and hot aired things. Then they're going to walk it back. And then there's going to be like more stuff happening. Guard your peace. Mm-hmm. Guard your ability to feel resourced. Focus on things that are close to you. Stay within your sphere of influence. That can mean sometimes your sphere of influence is a ripple in a greater picture on a more societal level. Don't ignore that if you have the opportunity. But also, if you aren't summoned to a social cause, then that is your cue that it's like, this is the time. There may be another time later where you do get summoned to the social cause. Like, don't feel like you're left out. But it does mean that, like, right now, the focus is feeling good in yourself, feeling good at home, making your space pretty, like redecorate your space in a way that makes you feel expressive. This is the one thing that you have that you can do whatever you want with, regardless of what the world says. So take that safe space you have and make it gorgeous.
Yeah. I feel very similarly with the energy of this when I look at it. It feels very much like turning over to the next chapter. The first thing, like the first indicator for me is like, it's that feeling of like, well, you're all out of tears, so you got to do something now. Like, that's kind of the vibe that comes up. Like, and truly the first half of this year has been us tears. It's been tears. It's just been, that's what it's been, which valid, by the way, like no criticism there, nothing coming from me that's going to be like, that's negative, like not in the slightest. It's been a time of tears. It genuinely has been. And it's now like, okay, we're all out of tears, so we're going to do stuff about this now. Like, now we're out of the crying, so we're going to do the doing. And that is good. I think that's really what the solstice is bringing in for the second half of the year, honestly, through next year when I look at it energetically. So I think that's perfect energy to be embracing. And it's also the energy. Okay, so this is going to sound a little funky. I hope I can explain this right, the way that they showed. Sometimes when you're psychic, they show you images and then you just know the meaning. And then in order to translate the meaning, you have to put that into words. And that's really fucking hard. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. If you've ever had that happen, it's so challenging sometimes to be like...
Yeah, like some languages have words for emotions that we don't have words for.
Exactly.
So it's like that.
And meanwhile, guides are like, image, just knowing. It's like, cool, I totally get it. And how the pieces fit together. How do I make this into a word space? So... let me phrase it this way. One of my favorite videos that came out of the No Kings protests from the past weekend was someone had made a cardboard Cheeto guillotine. And I fucking love it. And people could come up and put a Cheeto puff in there and drop the cardboard guillotine and it would cut the Cheeto puff in half. Fantastic. And one of the first comments on it was people will compare this to the literal gallows they had on January 6th. You know, like that's how the media is going to swing it. And the way that the guides just dropped it into me is with this solstice, we see the Cheeto guillotine for what it is and not what they tell us it is. So it's us not comparing it to the gallows, because the gallows were a gallows and this is a tiny cardboard guillotine. We're seeing it as, well, no, that's actually a tiny, you cannot spin this anymore. That's a tiny cardboard guillotine that chops Cheetos. Like, what are you talking about? That's the way they showed it.
Yeah. So if I were to expand on that with what I've been channeling, even just over the weekend, put that into the bigger context, right? There's a lot in the Aries ingress from this year that talks about the news and conflation and like exaggeration and whatever, hyperbole. And so this is the part of the year where we're like, you know what? Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to rely on my own judgment. I'm going to start looking at resources that are rational and reasonable and make sense. And, you know, once again, I'm going to reference my favorite news app, which I hope they sponsor us at some point, because I would love to give them some more credit. Right. But Ground News, because you can actually look at all the sources, compare them from all across the world and see how this is being shared. And then it has helped me reel back in my anxiety over news headlines so many times. And I think we're just at a point where we're like, it's like news outlets are that meme where they have like the grandma, it's like back in my day, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, okay, grandma, let's get you back to bed. Like, we are the okay, grandma, let's get you back to bed. And the news outlets are grandma.
Yeah. I know. I spend so much time teaching my kids, genuinely, of like every time we talk about the news or they share a headline with me or something, I was like, okay, why would that headline exist? Like, what do they want from you with that headline? What is the motivation with that headline? What would they want you to feel, believe, or understand with that headline? And the kids are at a point where they're like, okay, so just mainstream media is just all propaganda. It's like, yep, we got there. Correct. But now we also need to understand why they're trying to manipulate us, because that's the benefit. Yeah. That's why mainstream media is still beneficial, because we can have that exercise of, oop, what are they trying to do? Why are they trying to do that? Why are they trying to manipulate us towards that? Because that tells us almost more than the stories do, to be totally honest, about what's 100%. Going on. So we do a lot of that exercise in my house of like, but who said that? And why would they want to? You know, and some of it is truly just sharing news. And whenever we hit on one of those, it's always like, wow, refreshing. But for the most part, it's like, oh, because they want you to feel scared like this. So you move your money here and then people make money. Correct. The other thing I'll say too, kind of on that note as well, is this solstice, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is the cope with humor moment that we're having. We're going to do what we do best as, you know, millennials and Gen Z. And we're going to take all this all this very, very serious stuff and approach it so unseriously, but get shit done with that, which is always what we've done. We've done it forever. Yeah. We forgot we have that satire. Right? We forgot we have that power. Yeah. And now it's not even just satire. Sometimes it's just ridiculous. I saw someone share a TikTok saying, it was a get ready with me for my first World War, because they were in Iran and they were just like doing a get ready with me for the first World War. And like, it's that level of like, yeah, this is serious shit. We're going to cope with it with humor, but also we're going to let that humor, like the Cheeto guillotine, right? We're going to let that humor, activate us and educate us and like do stuff with it. I shared, Krista, my favorite video from the weekend was the cinematic masterpiece of like these people that are throwing pallets into the street as this cavalcade, like massive convoy of cops are driving towards one of the protests. And it's these people, and half of them are wearing like capes and shit. Just throwing pallets into the street, and they set the whoever filmed it is filming it from above, and the music is perfect, and it's truly a cinematic masterpiece. And then they all run away like they do a little skedaddle is the best way I can describe it, as like genuinely this like horde of cops are coming and they're protecting everybody just by doing this little thing. But it's so funny and also so beautiful and also so impactful. And that is truly the superpower that, you know, us younger generations have, is to handle things in that way. And this solstice reminds us of that and like allows us to step into like serious things with our own approach and stop trying to be like, well, we have to, you know, there's this weird box thing that's been happening of like, well, we have to handle it like in this way or that way. And I'm like, yes, like we need to handle it. Don't get me wrong. Like that has to happen. But we're going to handle it in a way no one's done it before, because that's what we've done this entire time.
Well, exactly. And like the whole key to conflict, if you see this across the board on a more person to person scale, if they're trying to get a rise out of you, don't let them. And so when you approach something calm or with humor or whatever, you keep your body in a regulated space, so you're more aware of what your options are and how you can be effective. But also you're not, when dealing with narcissists in life, which I have done, if you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, That is the firmest boundary you can hold. And it took me forever to put that together. But once I did, it's like dealing with people. I've used that in other situations in my life. And it's like, I'm not going to give you a chaotic reaction. I'm not going to let you make me afraid. You know, there was a TikTok the other day of this woman who was pulled over because she was driving too fast or something. No, she was driving in the wrong lane or something like that. And the cop was trying to pull her out of her car and he couldn't. He wasn't trying or anything. And at one point she just looked at me and she's like, do you see yourself?
Do you see yourself right now? And she's filming and she's like, he's trying to pull me out of my car.
This is what happened. And the idea, like for me, the most impactful thing, I almost want to have a t-shirt that says imperturbable. Like my affirmation is I am imperturbable. You can come at me, you can try to get in my face, you can try to trigger any kind of reaction that you're looking for, but if that's your goal, my friend, you're about to be disappointed.
You know, if I didn't take the rise that was Massimo, then I think we're solid. We had like a speed run training of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, truly. But that is the energy of the solstice though. It is that like, oh, that's right. There's power in the way I do things. And like everyone realizing that on a bunch of different levels for themselves personally, and then also within societal spaces. And sorry, I'm about to like cough and I don't want to like do it into the microphone. I was like, okay, we're good. But also it like societal spaces and how we're going forward. And I do think it really is a redecorate your space. It's one of those moments where I think we're going to see a lot of people like get tattoos, cut off their hair, dye something purple. Like we're in that moment again because we're preparing to have a new shell. We're having a new identity that steps in that is more us. It's always more us when we do that. But it's the more us that's coming forward now where we're like, oh, that's right. Like I have power in being weird. Honestly, power in being weird.
Yeah.
Weird it up. We need the weird. Also, weird used to be a powerful word, by the way. Like the well of weird in Norse mythology is the well of wisdom. Like B-Y-R-D.
B-Y-R-D.
But, and that's the energy. It's the weird energy that comes in. And I for one, am here for it. Let's go. Let's go be weird together.
Speaking of the Well of Weird, that is the handle for Camden, who has been on here before, who is crushing it on social media right now. So if you're on TikTok or anything like that, look up Well of Weird, weird with a Y. Follow Camden, deserves it, amazing, love everything that they're doing.
So much. So much. It's, killing it. It's great. Anyway, please do, because
perfect levels of sass. It's amazing.
Oh, yes. Levels of sass, indeed.
I
will also say a brief touch on rituals you could do for the solstice, if you so chose. Always burning stuff. Burning stuff is huge. It doesn't matter what culture, it's burned stuff on the solstice.
Yeah.
Like Lithia, they would make a wheel of the year and then burn that. Like they would do an offering to the Vestal Virgins, and Vesta, who is literally the goddess of the hearth and who was the eternal flame of Rome. In Rome, they would burn shit. Like it's just if you have the ability to burn things, I recommend burning them, even if it's a small thing where you're just releasing stuff from past you or want to send a manifestation out there and you just want to light that on fire in your sink. Congratulations, you have done it. That is a wonderful ritual for that. Truly. Also, wearing color associations with the sun for you, whatever. And I always, like, don't get me wrong, there's ancient cultures and ancient stuff there, but just wear what feels like this season for you. Color has a lot of power. We could do a whole episode, honestly, on the power of color, and I think we probably should. Anyone who's traveled with me will know I wear colored sunglasses.
They're beautiful.
Very intentionally. They're called rainbow optics. And you literally will stare through the color. Your eyes fully adjust, which is really wild. But it's like putting headphones on, but for your eyes, which really helps my visual stimulus because I see energy on top of the world. And it's just a lot. Krista's tried them and been like, whoa, it's quiet in my eyeballs. I'm like, I know.
I still need to get a pair. I want to get all of them.
Yeah, I have all of them. Many different frames of them, but it's really powerful. It's because you can adjust different energies based on what color you're seeing through or what color you're wearing, those types of things. So that's another easy way to just honor the solstice. If there's something like, if you're like, oh, it feels like gold to me, put gold jewelry on that day. It feels like, deep green because of the like rising energy of like summer nature. Perfect. Wear deep green that day. That is a really easy way to connect with it.
And if you are interested in tradition, the traditional colors of the sun are, not surprisingly, gold, red, yellows, those kinds of things. So anything that has the same colors as fire.
Yeah. Red also applies to like your root energy temple. I'm not talking about it in chakras. I never talk about it in chakras really because I'm not classically trained on chakras, so I feel really weird talking about it. But I do talk about energy temples, which almost line up with the chakra system, not 100%. Those are just the way that I see energy, and that still applies to that, like red color being safety, being groundedness, being the things that make you feel very present in your body. So that can also really help with that. Also, if you can go near natural water at all on the solstice, go near natural water. Just tell it your problems. Honestly, just be there and talk to the water. Super valuable way to sense.
You could dunk your head in the water and scream. It'll be very cathartic.
Super. I do that all the time.
Same.
Genuinely, I will go to the lake and dive in and just be like, ah, and it's so nice. And she also is like, she gives good advice. So it's great. Yeah, natural water or moving water even if you just have moving water outside in some way, even if it's like a fountain or something, like that's enough. But just being outside underneath that is going to be really nice. And of course, if you can see both the sunrise and the sunset, or at least one of them, and witness this moment of what it is to be a person and be proud of yourself. It's a really powerful day to be proud of yourself and to invite your guides in and be like, hey, can we talk? And what are you proud of me for the last year? Like, because they will also give you like, it's okay to ask them for that because they're like, oh, like this, and this, like they have a list of that, I promise. And inviting them into the experience with you to watch the sunrise and the sunset, or even one or the other, or none, and just be under the sun for some of us that I will be experiencing that. But inviting them in to do that is really powerful too. And honestly is really validating and will help you build that confidence of stepping forward into the new, just in general, I guess.
Yeah.
Card pulls, also good. Love
Yeah,
card pulls.
we are coming into the new. And I want to say that it's a journey into the new. So it's like a several year process into the new. But boy, you came here to come into the new. Like that is what we are all here for. I can never stress enough how cool this moment is in history.
I know.
It's a once in a 200-year opportunity that you're in right now. And I just really think it's really cool.
It is.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in a different time. I know that people say all the time, like, oh, well, this is the worst timeline, whatever. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, you know what? In a lot of ways, yeah, it sucks. And don't get me wrong. It's not easy. It's a painful time to be a person. But there's never not been a painful time to be a person, first of all. And I'm happy to be here in this painful time of being a person. You know, like this is...
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to support others to experience life at such a crazy depth. And, you know, to be able to be in a time where making a difference for the entire world has never been as accessible.
Yeah, like we're in the room where it happens right now, all of us.
Yeah.
And that's cool. My guides this weekend have taken to reminding me very actively and emphatically, like, there is an after. Remember, there's an after. There's going to be an after this. Like, aren't you excited when the after of this? I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, I know that, but it like is really helpful to remind myself, like, yeah, there is an after. This is an after time. There's going to be an after. And it's really neat. Because basically what happened is, and Krista already knows this because I've already bitched about it today, because I obviously am very conscientious of social justice issues. I really don't handle intolerance well. Like I've been active in social justice spaces since I was like 10. When I was 10 was the first time I started a animal rights charity. I was 10. So like I'm very passionate about societal change and equality and those types of things. So this moment in time, I'm like, I've been to so many protests in my life. I'm like, I'm going to protest and do all these things. And I shit you not, Krista has been there for all of it too. Every time I try, the universe is like, hey, guess what? No. You don't get to go do that in person. You don't get to go there. You don't get like, and it's been like either my car will break down or I will have scheduled something a week before in the exact time of what the protest would be. Or like, it's just all these different things. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't do things in person, which has been really challenging for me, to be totally honest. So like, that's why I feel a little bit keyboard warrior-esque almost, where I've donated a lot of money since October 7th, to be totally honest, of last year or 2 years ago. I've donated a lot of that. I share a lot of stuff we talk about a lot on here, but most like, and we've in person given a lot of things to Hani to like take and donate there.
Yeah.
Signed so many petitions, shared so many causes, like done all those things, but it's driving me nuts. But if you're in the same boat, I just want to be like, okay, there's obviously a reason they keep reminding me there's an after, because all I can do is digital stuff at this moment, not for lack of trying, but because of stuff.
Yeah.
It's been
this is the first time in my life that I've been in a place in a position to do this kind of like, So my first petition was at 8 years old in third grade.
Pluto is a planet.
It was for Pluto. It was for Pluto. And then in high school, I petitioned against the cell phone policy at the time. We all had flip phones. So, like, it was just to be able to call our parents because we had bomb threats and we had mercury spills and we had gun threats and, like, all this stuff. And it's like, I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to have a cell phone. And then I also petitioned they wouldn't allow us to wear backless shoes, but you were allowed to wear strappy stilettos. And I'm like, if I'm going to trip, do you want me to be able to kick my shoes off and run? Or do you want me to be stuck on the ground and trampled? So I changed both those policies in my school. I was very proud of myself.
Way to be.
Thank you. But then I wasn't in a position where I lived to really do anything until the BLM movement. And I remember, like, I lived in a small town where, wow, I don't even know how to put, we did not see a lot of color in our schools. They just weren't in this town. And, like, the people that were, they decided they wanted to have a protest at this one thing. So I went there to make sure that, I remember my mom went too. She went there to go talk to the cops to keep them, because she was friends with them. And I went there to go protest with everybody and make sure that they were safe. And so that was my first experience. It was very small. I quoted the Lorax on my sign. It was, until someone like you cares a whole awful lot. And then this year, because of I'm in a new location, I've finally been able to access more things. And, like, over the weekend, I wasn't able to go to our march started silly late. So I was not able to make it then, but I was in town earlier wearing a t-shirt with a penguin that said resist. And I'm very proud of that shirt. And we just...
No tariffs on penguins.
And I walked around. No, they don't deserve it. They can't pay you. So we were able to walk around town, at least with that. But I honestly, that's one thing. And like showing up en masse, right? There's been a lot of talk about the 3.5% law or rule, I guess. And so that's huge and that's awesome. And if you're able to do that, thank you. Amazing. But there are other things too. And so, it's the consistency and the habits and the things that compound into effects later. Wherever you are, if you feel motivated and moved to do something, I'm sure that there is something that will find you if you ask for it.
Yeah, we've taken my kids to a lot of protests since 2016. We've been to a good amount. And Callum has his own protest sign. I don't know if I ever showed you it. It says cat, and underneath it says alternative fact. And so he wears that on his back. Callum's my dog.
Yeah, not this time. Not today.
But yeah, it reminds me of your penguin shirt. So even my dog has his own protest sign. So it's been very weird for me to not get to do stuff. I mean, my cat. Yeah. Alternative fact. Yeah, anyway. So, all that's to say, it's a good week. Oh, I do really, really quickly just want to talk about time. Because I think we're going to have...
Why?
Well, right. Well, we're going to have another big timeline. We're preparing for it. We've had a bunch of mini timeline shifts. We're about to have another big one, the way that we had in October in the middle of eclipse season. If in the middle of eclipse season, it felt like your life completely changed and all of a sudden things trajectory went totally wonky, it's because we had a timeline smush is what I've been calling it. I've talked about it a lot on here, but just to preface that, like that, it's been a timeline smush. We're about to have another one. Mm-hmm. I know it for a fact in my bones, and it's going to happen probably right around the solstice, to be totally honest. Don't be afraid of it. It's good. We like it. Whatever. We had a deity, though, describe time right now as, which I just think is funny. We were talking to the Incan pantheon, and one of the deities she was like, this is what time is right now. And it was like a nice little cloth on a table. And she put her hand on both sides. She's like, this is what it's doing. And just whooshed and like smooshed it together. So it was like, bleep, 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 like wrinkle, 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 wrinkle. And she's like, that's time. And I was like, oh, thanks. But that is what it feels like. So I just really, really, really quick wanted to put a note on there. If things have been feeling very shifty and weird and like time is very untethered and moving very odd, it's because it is. Like, it's because that's what's happening, and that's what you're feeling, like, genuinely. So if you notice around the solstice, you're like, whoa, what was that? I, for the first time, finally gotten a heads up that we're having a timeline smush, which, love that. But it is happening, so I just wanted to preface that, too, of timeline is smooshing together, which gives us a lot more magic and power, to be totally honest. Magic is becoming very, very real. It's going to become more real. This is going to lead towards that even more, but... I do, since I got a heads up, wanted to give everyone else a heads up too.
I got the same ping over the weekend. And because it showed me like things that you wouldn't think were feasible and possible right now, but you still feel them coming. This event is going to make them more possible. It's going to click things into the track where they can happen. And honestly, one of the dates I'm looking for, or I'm kind of side-eyeing for that is around July 7th. Not the solstice also, right? Because it's a moment, especially with Jupiter being right there and everything. During the Saturn-Jupiter square, it makes sense. But on the 7th, Uranus comes into Gemini and starts kind of affecting the trine between it and Pluto, which does not happen too frequently. This is the thing that I've been talking about for years when I start singing a certain song from Les Mis.
Yep.
Which, by the way, guys, how cool is it? If you've been here for a long time, you know that in like 2024, we started singing that song because of this transit that we saw coming up and the way we've been seeing the energy for years. And then it became popular and I was just like, neato.
We did a thing. I saw someone,
Yeah.
it was on Instagram, and she had a reel, and it was like, I predicted this, and this back in 2024. Astrology doesn't lie. Guess what I have predicted? Comment something to see what I've predicted for the next little bit of time. And I was like, first of all, ew, that's scammy as shit. But second of all, like,
That's not you, that's astrology.
but also like, second of all, yeah, man. We do that too, but like,
we were saying it on a podcast,
right?
Yeah.
And also, like, it's, I don't know, for me especially, it's validating because, like, yes, you have astrology, but for the most part, we look at it and we're like, this is going to happen because we just saw it and this is what they showed us, and then it happens. We're like, hey, there it is. But that's also why we share it on the podcast and not on socials. And I know that our socials would grow if we shared predictions and whatever, but it's so unethical to me because I don't know who's going to see it. And it makes me really uncomfortable that it could cause people to go into psychosis spaces. It could cause people to be so anchored into like the future being like a concrete thing when it's completely mutable. Like, children can see it and like freak out about it. Like, I'm just really cognizant of that.
Truly, the eclipse that happened, I think it was last April, the one that like happened over the US, because of social media, and then because of fundamentalist Christians being like, well, this must be the rapture because everything must be the rapture. Someone who was
another shirt design.
I'm sorry.
Everything must be the rapture.
Obviously, it's the rapture.
That's funny.
That was my whole childhood. I'm telling you,
so
every
funny.
other year there was an end day. But anyway, yes, that's how I grew up, you guys. Obviously, it's the rapture. But this person was so scared. And they were like, I would have to say they were probably a novice astrologer, because if they would have gotten deeper into it, there would have been more that they would have looked into. But they were so scared, they killed themselves and their children because of what was blown up on social media about an eclipse. Yes.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Astrological community, we hold ourselves accountable to that. When that happened, we were like, who's going to be the one who takes this and creates accountability? And I said back then too, like, we're going to have to do more than that because we have transits coming up. People who do psychic stuff, fortune telling stuff, divination, whatever, we need to make sure we are getting our ethics together. I just think that's going to be really important for us over the next couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. Krista and I have been very frustrated lately because we're like, okay, where are the ethical spiritual people? We'll make like new connections that are like, we do all this stuff. And then we look at it and we're like, you're not doing this stuff at all. What are we talking about? Oh no. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting experience. All that's to say, that's why we don't share predictions outside of this place. Well, we do it on our Patreons. I'll go even deeper on prediction space, but
yep, same.
Yeah.
I go like bulletin board deep on my Patreon.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the student study tier, because that's where I'm trying to teach you how it works. So we get into like the gears behind the matrix on that.
Yeah. Same with my Train With Me people. I will go deep with them on stuff too, of things I've channeled in, spiritual experience that I've had, that kind of thing. And the applications are currently open for that. If you would like to be a part of my next Train With Me cohort, it is my advanced mentorship. You will be very, very, very good at spiritual stuff by the end of it. I can say that with my full chest. You will understand how magical and how many superpowers you actually do have. So if you do want to be a participant in that too, that's another way to like really get the behind the scenes of everything also. And I would love to have you there anyway. It's a really good time to develop your spirituality. There's that also. Yeah.
And same goes for my student study tier on Patreon. It's always open. We have a group chat. We have 3 or 4 meetings a month. We do psychic stuff, mostly rooted in like traditional stuff that we can then apply. And we also learn astrology. So it's my favorite space. I love you guys.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Remember, download, like, share, follow us.
Just like comment an emoji. Just
comment our emoji
because we want to. Yeah.
Comment emojis so we know that this is it's validating for you. Whatever emoji you think this episode should have, put her there. We would love to see your pics. Honestly, what pics do you think? Like, what emoji?
What's the vibe?
What
Yeah.
emoji is
Or,
that?
you can always just let us know how in sync our sign off is or not, because we do this every week and it's different every time.
True that. Absolutely. And thank you guys just so much for being here and being part of listeners. As a reminder, too, if you're like, man, Iceland sounds so fun, I want to travel with you, you can. We currently have spaces open in both Thailand and Peru. Thailand, I'm getting so freaking hyped for. Oh my God.
Yeah, if you want to travel soon, that's Thailand. That's going to be September into October.
And it's one of our most affordable
Gives
trips.
you more time.
Both of these trips are so inexpensive.
Yeah.
I cannot stress how inexpensive
When I was
they are.
scheduling the flights, I was blown away.
I know, like really, truly, like these are really, really inexpensive. They do have payment plans available. Thailand is closing fairly soon, I believe, to bookings. I would have to double check on the exact dates for that, but we would love to have you there. We get to do such cool things on these trips. Like I was re-looking over the Thailand itinerary because we're booking flights and things like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right, we get to have a Thai massage. Oh yeah, right, we get to go bike through the ruins. Oh yeah, right, we get to go make
hilarious.
We get to go make our own coffee and put our own magical intentions into the coffee that we then get to take home and drink from Thailand. Like
we're visiting an elephant reserve, aren't we?
yeah, we're gonna get to go hug the elephants. The rescue ones. I mean, like, there's a bunch of just really, really magical things. We're gonna go to temples. We're gonna go to like a actual visit with a community. Like, we're doing all these really, really neat things. And we're gonna have an at-home, like, a family lunch after we float down a river on a little raft. Like, not whitewater rafting, but like a float. We're gonna go to hot springs. Like, it's so neat. And I'm excited for Peru too. But like, Thailand's the next one, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's so soon.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we would love to have you. Check out the links if you want to book, or just search Trova, Emily, and KristaLyn.
Yeah, the itineraries are all there, so you can see how you feel about it.
It'll be linked in the show notes or on either of our link trees. Oh no, yawn. Oh, okay, I'm not actually tired. We're just processing through stuff. Anyway, we hope that you take all this solstice energy and that you 1, 2, 3 go make some magic.
Make some magic.
Ooh.